Hi, this is Glenda, and today's soap is inspired in a malachite gemstone, and it is part of a gemstone soap collaboration. I'm going to include down below the other channels that are participating so that you can watch their videos and see what they made. I'm trying to match the colors to the colors of these malachite beads that I have that I got from a friend for a project I did for her. So I made four shades of green, and I'm going to include in a link below what those were. This one was probably the least successful one. Although malachite is usually an opaque stone, sometimes it does produce crystals as seen in this picture. This is the recipe that I will be using, and I'm going to include a link to it down below in the description box. I'm measuring out the light water solution that I will need, and because I wanted this to stay more fluid, I added extra water since I usually use a steep water discount. Here are the oils that I already measured and warmed up, and this is the fragrance that I will be using. Bergamot and Mandarin from Crafter's Choice, which smells really good, almost like some type of candy or bubblegum. But it did not collaborate with me as much. I had used it before and it had behaved well, but with this recipe it didn't do so good. Because the fragrance does have a little bit of vanillin, 1%, and it tends to turn the soap a little beige. I'm using a homemade vanilla stabilizer to prevent that. I also added an extra bit of olive oil to increase my super fat because I had it at 3% and that usually gets thickened faster than I needed it for this technique. An optional technique for the collaboration was the thin lines technique, and it can achieve through different methods. This was optional, so not everybody who participates in the collaboration will be doing it, but I chose to do it as a try. I think I should have added the fragrance until after mixing the colorants with each portion of the soap batter because as you can see I had only finished mixing the first one and it was already at light trace. When I had a stick blended the mix it had only reached emulsion. So when I saw that it was thickening up I just decided to move quickly to be able to complete the soap, and I poured each color into the dividers of this cup. I wasn't sure which mold to use, so I ended up using a variety of individual cavity molds. And at first, I'm trying to pour it so that it will create a rounded oval shape in like concentric circles. And that didn't work. So then I tried doing just side to side, like here. But I think that ended up looking more like camouflage. So I tried again doing the circles, but I wasn't seeing a lot of definition between the lines. A difficulty that I had was that when most green micas, when mixed with an alkaline solution like lye, they tend to change colors and look uglier than they will be in the final product. Now, one of the greens remain ugly as you see it. At some point, I did change the direction of my pour so that instead of doing like a wall pour, I switch it so that I would pour it straight on top of the surface, and in that way, the lines were slightly more evident. Several circular malachites have an scalloped effect that I wanted to create in this soap. I'm using a bamboo skewer to try to create that scalloped effect. Here's how they look 24 hours later. As you can see, the dark green that I mixed with the silver black mica did not become a good color. It ended up being more like a dirty green, which is not bad on itself, but for this stone, it doesn't really go well together. So I think I was better off using the other dark green instead. The other ones were not releasing because it was too soon for them, so I decided to wait. Meanwhile, to the ones that I was able to remove, I wanted to add some crystals. For this, I'm using clear, ultra clear melt and pour from Crafter's Choice, and I'm using an X-Acto knife to shape it into a pointy end. And because the soap is freshly removed from the mold, it is still soft, and I was able to just insert it through. I did add some green mica at the bottom of it, and I scraped off some portion of the main soap to create room where it's going to go. And I repeated this process over and over until it was covered. I did melt some of the clear soap to pour it on top and make sure that the crystals won't come off. And you may see some of that in the final pictures, which are coming up.